Welcome to the Chevy pregame show on Fox as we now take it from Yankee Stadium on a cold, wet night here in the Bronx. It is game one of the American League Championship Series on a 45-degree night. Light rain is now. Light rain expected throughout the evening. It's the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, the New York Yankees, game one. And now welcome to the broadcast booth, everybody. I am Joe Buck, Tim McCarver, Ken Rosenthal. Both are coming up. So here are the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. They finally got past their nemesis, took care of the Boston Red Sox, who had defeated them 3 of the last 5 postseasons. They did it in thrilling fashion on Sunday, beating Papelbon at Fenway, taking on the hometown Yankees. How'd they do it? 3 and out. A-Rod, a big part of it, took care of the Minnesota Twins, and so now it's the ALCS. And when I shift my weight, it means that Tim McCarver is about to enter your picture. And Tim, everybody's had their say as to what they think's going to happen. Now it's your chance. What are we about to see?
Well, Joe, both of these teams have played 165 games this year, so there are no secrets. The 2 best offensive teams in the game, even though they score their runs differently. The Angels with speed, the Yankees with power. 2 great starting staffs, but what happens when the starters leave the game? That's going to determine the outcome of the series, in my view, because the Yankees have the stronger bullpen.
And when you talk about starters, each team is rested. It's CC Sabathia for New York, John Lackey for the Angels. Off we go.
They were 2 of the best teams in 2009. No strangers to this stage or to each other. The Angels twice have sent the Yankees home in the playoffs. Can they do it again and start the World Series on the West Coast? Or in this inaugural season of the new Yankee Stadium, will the East Coast champs rekindle old memories and bring a World Series back to the Bronx? It's game one of the American League Championship Series, and it comes to you next on Fox.
Tonight's game on Fox is sponsored by America's Navy, a global force for good. By Avidart. By MasterCard. And by X. Relearn baseball without cigarettes. Relearn life without cigarettes. Well, here we are, ALCS game number 1. The Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim, the New York Yankees. Good matchup. And 2 teams that swept in the divisional round. Tonight's starting lineup for the Angels brought to you by Taco Bell. Think outside the bun. There's the leadoff man, Sean Figgins. Bobby Abreu batting second. Torrey Hunter hitting third. Then Vlad Guerrero, the DH. Juan Rivera, former Yankee. Kendry Morales, great first full year at first base with 34 home runs. Howie Kendrick gets the start against the lefty. Jeff Mathis does the catching for Lackey. And Eric Ibar is in the number 9 spot. What a season he had at short for Mike Scioscia. There is a left-hander, CC Sabathia. Big dollars to come here to the New York Yankees, but he delivered a 19-win season and a good ERA of 3.37.
3rd straight postseason with his 3rd different team. He's been almost unbeatable. He's lost only 1 start since the All-Star game. He changed his fastball grip, and pitching coach Dave Island saying that was very, very important. He has a very underrated changeup, and that makes him more of a pitcher now. Here's the grip we were talking about. You can see the old fastball grip right there. And then the new one where he uses that seam to paint the outside corner on balls that go away from right-handed batters.
Sabathia's got 2 more warm-up pitches, and you need him on a night like this. It is mid-40s, coldest game that's been played at this stadium so far this season in its first year. We ask you to reach for the perfect combination of flavor and refreshment. Budweiser, the great American lager. And before Sean Figgins walks in to represent his manager, Mike Scioscia, we give you tonight's keys to the game, brought to you by Warner Brothers Pictures' Ninja Assassin in theaters everywhere, Wednesday, November 25th.
And the keys to the game, pretty much common sense, Joe. The Angels trying to punch a run across early and take an early lead. And the Yankees, hey, you're at Yankee Stadium, and look at that record at Yankee Stadium, 59-24 this year.
59 of their 103 total wins, and here is Sean Figgins. who is trying to get it going. Did not have a hit in the divisional series against the Red Sox. Did draw one important walk in the 9th inning at Fenway Park on Sunday, as the Angels rallied to beat the Red Sox and Papelbon to move on.
Well,
strike one. Bobby Abreu will follow, and then Torrey Hunter. And the approach for the Angels, in particular Sean Figgins. He said, we're going to try to get on base and create some havoc. A weak swing, strike two.
Boy, just two overpowering fastballs to start this game by Sabathia.
Coming off 8 days of rest is CC Sabathia. A little high. The plan is for Sabathia of the Yankees to make 3 starts if this ALCS goes 7 games. Before the Yankees would use just 3 starters in this series if the weather holds. Little pop up right side, long run, and Teixeira can't get there in time. Home plate umpire tonight is the crew chief, Tim McClellan, with his deliberate strike call. At first base, Laz Diaz, Bill Miller at second base, Jerry Lane at third, Field and Culbreth down the line and left, and Dale Scott down the line and right. With the rain falling, a 1-2 pitch, and off the end of the bat. That's Cano, all bundled up, 1 out. Take a look at the New York defense, and no surprises, no changes for Joe Girardi. Damon struggling with the bat. He's in left, Cabrera in center, Swisher in right. Around the infield, they can glove it and they can hit it. And the battery is CC Sabathia and Jorge Posada.
They can glove it and hit it. In the outfield, however, they have a tough time throwing it. Melky Cabrera with a fair arm in center field. Nick Swisher takes a long time to get rid of the ball in right, and expect the Angels to run on Johnny Damon, even though he's playing left field and has that shorter throw.
Former Yankee Bobby Abreu takes a strike. Abreu has been so valuable, not only what he's done with the bat, hit .293 during the regular season, knocked in over 100 runs, stole 30 bases. But the wisdom he has imparted to other hitters in this Angels lineup has been invaluable. 0-2. A very patient hitter. And he is now backed up at 0 balls 2 strikes.
We showed you that change in the grip of CC Sabathia, and you saw it. What a great shot that was. Well, he is throwing awfully hard. 8 days of rest for a 290-pound man. Very strong.
Down and away. Ball 195 miles per hour from Sabathia. He came up with Cleveland. Cy Young Award winner in 2007, but he has his own issues to deal with his past postseason performances. 1-0 so far this year. A check swing, and the count 2-2.
See Jorge Posada setting up inside. He thought Abreu went around, but I think that shot clearly he held up.
Posada had difficulty catching Sabathia in game 1 of the division series, and he was handcuffed with that pitch.
It was.
2-2 from Sabathia. Breaking ball, and out number 2.
There's that deliberate strike call by home plate umpire Tim McClellan. This breaking ball, a strike, and Abreu out of there. Abreu looking back as though that pitch was inside, but that was a strike.
And so 2 out, nobody on for Torrey Hunter. The number 3 hitter in this lineup for the Angels. That's on the inside corner. For Hunter, he was on his way to having maybe his best offensive season in what's been a very good big league career. He's dangerous with the bat and so good in center field. Great range, not afraid of the wall. But then a groin injury cost him 32 games. Slowed his production a bit. Still 22 homers, 90 RBIs, and this crowd wants to see a perfect first inning. Line drive, base hit left field off the bat of Torrey Hunter. No perfect first inning, and Hunter is on to keep the inning going for Guerrero.
That was a real mistake by Sabathia, not in the pitch selection, but the pitch location. He wanted that ball biting down and into Torrey Hunter. But watch how it just hangs on the outside part of the plate. Fat breaking ball for Torrey Hunter for the first hit of the game.
Vladimir Guerrero stands in. He's the DH. There's a slide step, and there's a swinging strike to start the at bat. 94 miles per hour. As Sabathia used, as I said, a slide step, less of a leg kick. Something he learned from former teammate Terry Mulholland when the two were with Cleveland, and it's done him wonders at slowing down the opposition's running game. And Guerrero into right field. There's Swisher. Down go the Angels in the first. Leave a man. Lackey to the hill after a half at Yankee Stadium. No score. Tonight's game on Fox is sponsored by Taco Bell. Think outside the bun. By Fidelity Investments. Turn here. By Priority Mail. Flat rate boxes only from the Postal Service. And by Warner Brothers Pictures' Ninja Assassin in theaters everywhere Wednesday, November 25th. So now the Yankees turn the bottom half of the first. No score. Starting lineup for New York brought to you by Taco Bell. Think outside the bun. Derek Jeter, what a year. On base percentage of over 400. Then Johnny Damon, Mark Teixeira. Alex Rodriguez, a great divisional series. Hideki Matsui, the DH. Jorge Posada, Robinson Cano. Nick Swisher is in right. Melky Cabrera bats ninth. He's in center. That lineup for John Lackey, the right-hander who won 11 games, started the season on the disabled list, and a terrific first start in the divisional round against the Red Sox.
One of the fierce competitors in Major League Baseball. And will the cold weather, this could really be a factor for Lackey. We won't know, and Mike Scioscia said we'll just have to adjust if that's the case. Will the cold weather be a factor in his gripping the curveball? That's one of the early keys to look for. If that thing is hanging, it's going to be favorable for Yankee hitters.
Jeter takes a strike. Derek Jeter had a bounce-back year. Put together one of his better offensive seasons in a while. Hit .334, that averaged third best in the American League as he takes down and away. An on-base percentage of over 400, 18 home runs. Took advantage of the ball flying and jumping out to right here in the new Yankee Stadium. And 30 stolen bases, caught only 5 times. 2-1. Two and two.
Derek Jeter has been in 126 postseason games. He's been on base in 110 of those games. Remarkable.
Full count. Just the third Yankee leadoff hitter in the last 35 years to have an on-base percentage over 400. Willie Randolph did it in 1980. Rickey Henderson did it in 1985. Trying to get it started for New York. Still full. The career is remarkable. During the postseason, it's when he is at his best. He's been a World Series MVP because of the extra games. The stats he's piled up blow you away. And he's in a battle with Lackey to try to get on to start this night for the Yankees.
Nobody in baseball with 2 strikes is as predictable as Derek Jeter. He will hit the ball to right field with 2 strikes.
Like that. Ho hum. Another round to the playoffs, and Derek Jeter does his thing.
He has peppered that hole between first and second for the last 15 years. First at the old stadium and now at the new stadium.
That's career postseason hit number 158. Top total all time. And here's Johnny Damon, who was just 1 for 12 against the Twins. Takes ball 1. Damon came out during the week and actually participated in a simulated game. Hit a home run. Had a double, a single, almost hit for the cycle in the simulated game, and then said, okay, I'm ready. 2-0. Teixeira next. The starting pitching for the Angels has been on a fantastic run. Lackey's been right in the middle of all that. Strike 1. Since September 27th for the Angels, their starting pitchers combined regular season and postseason 11 games. The team is 10-1 and the starters are 9-0 with a 2.15 ERA. Lackey in game 1 of the division series against the Red Sox. 5-0 win. Went 7 1/3. No runs, 4 hits, 4 strikeouts and a walk. Off the end of the bat down the left field line. That's a base hit. Jeter goes to third. Damon a wide turn at first, and now will take second on a wide throw from Rivera.
Johnny Damon had actually stopped between first and second. He was conceding going back to first base. However, he saw the throw by Rivera. It was to the middle of the infield and not on the bag, so he continued to second base. Jeter easily goes to third. And watch Damon take a wide turn, stop, and now he goes when he sees the ball in the middle of the infield.
Official scorer calls it a single. Damon taking second on the throw. It's second and third with nobody out for Teixeira, who ended last season with the Angels. Counts 2-0 with Rodriguez on deck. It said the ball was off the end of the bat with Damon. It actually broke the bat and hit down toward the handle. Sounded funny coming off his bat.
It did.
Just did stay fair. That's wide. It's 3-0. Swinging on 3-0 and a little fly ball into left. There's Rivera, one out, and a big out for the Angels. Teixeira was jammed and a little fly ball. Lackey gets an out on a 3-0 count.
Boy, that is a big at bat right there. Normally when you're swinging 3-0, you want to pull that ball to make an out and not hit it the other way. So instead of A-Rod hitting with the bases loaded, nobody out, Teixeira hits it off the trademark, and Lackey gets a key out.
What do you think about swinging at 3-0 right there?
Oh, I think swinging's fine. But when you do swing, you want to make sure you pull the ball if you're going to make an out.
Yeah.
Rodriguez takes a strike. What a series Alex Rodriguez had against the Minnesota Twins. 5 for 11, 2 home runs, 6 RBIs, late game tying home runs in games 2 and 3. One ball, one strike. His recent history in the postseason had been terrible. From Game 4 of the American League Championship Series in 2004, the Division Series in 2007, when the Yankees were last in the postseason, 16 games, 1 RBI. In the air to left center field. That should get a run home as Jeter will tag. Here he comes. Throw is into third, and the Yankees lead 1-0. RBI by Rodriguez.
One thing John Lackey did, and you can see Jeff Mathis, he impressed Rodriguez inside. That's something the Minnesota Twins didn't do. You've got to pitch A-Rod inside to get him out. Torrey Hunter conceding the run. But let's take a look at the 3 fastballs to Rodriguez. All of them inside. And he hits the 1-1 pitch for a sac fly to put the Yankees on the board.
So Rodriguez has his 7th RBI of this postseason. Gaiman is at second with 2 out, and the batter is Hideki Matsui. Matsui is a lifetime .367 hitter during LCS play. With an RBI every 4.29 at bats. That's the 3rd best rate ever in LCS play. He takes a strike. 3rd best behind Jim Thome and Darryl Strawberry. You say Thome, you think of the Dodgers now, and they won today despite a tremendous 7 innings from Pedro Martinez. The final was 2-1 Dodgers to even that series at a game apiece.
7 innings of shutout ball by Martinez.
1 ball, 1 strike on Matsui. Senny Padilla was almost as good. Matsui pops it up. Left side. And the 2 infielders, Ibar and Figgins, look at each other. It's 2-0 New York.
We have seen 2 things defensively for the Angels in this half inning that from Mike Scioscia's standpoint has to be very, very disturbing. The bad throw by Rivera allowing Damon to go to second base, and now inexplicably a dropped fly ball. I mean, I don't know how to explain that. You can see John Lackey, who is known for glaring down his infielders and outfielders when they make a mistake. You really can't blame him there.
They're calling it an RBI single.
Oh, boy.
Ibar, who's got his ears covered up with that hood, not to say he couldn't hear, but it didn't look like either one of them said anything.
No, no. Ibar's really got to take charge. The ball's behind Figgins. Ibar's in a better position to make the play. But it didn't. I agree with you. I didn't think either one of them said anything.
Posada hits one down toward the end of the bat into right field, and Abreu is there. Inning is over. The lack of communication between Ibar and Figgins cost the Angels a run. 2-0 New York after one. Juan Rivera, who came up in the Yankee organization, will lead it off for the Angels in the top of the second. Plenty of discussion going on in the dugout for the Angels after the lack of discussion over on the left side of the infield on the drop pop-up. And Sabathia fires a strike 93 miles per hour to Rivera. Mike Scioscia immediately went down and talked to his shortstop, Eric Ibar. But I think even looking at it on that Exmo or super slow-mo replay, I don't think either Figgins or Ibar said a word on that pop-up on the left side of the infield.
No, and the crowd had nothing to do with it either. I mean, you could understand if the crowd were drowning out a call on the field, but the crowd was silent when the ball went up. Disappointed here that Matsui had made the third out of the inning. That didn't happen.
Rivera driven off the plate by Sabathia. Juan Rivera is one of the better players in the league nobody knows about. Here's a look at it. Matsui's got his head down. There's a little, looked like Figgins said Ibar with a little turn, but so Figgins did say something. Ibar just let it drop right in front of him. Didn't see that the first time around, and either way it goes as an RBI single with an asterisk. And Rivera grounds to short. Jeter to his right. One out. Chevy and baseball have teamed up to give fans a chance to win tickets to the postseason, and even better, you have a chance to win a new Chevy. Just register at worldseries.com/Chevy and may the best team win. Here comes Kendry Morales. A great story, Cuban-born player, and finally got a chance. Was stuck in this organization behind Kochman, who was coming up ahead of him as a first baseman. Then the Angels made the deal last year with Atlanta and got Teixeira. If the Angels had re-signed Teixeira, according to Mike Scioscia, who we met with before the game, the plan was for Kendry Morales to play right field, which is where he had played some in the minor leagues. That's foul, right side, and a 1-ball, 1-strike count. But Morales, Tim, is learning first base. He's been getting better every year. And what he did with the bat this season, 34 home runs, 108 RBIs, and an average over 300. Not a bad replacement for Mark Teixeira.
Now, Mike Scioscia before the game saying that in a couple of years, Morales has a chance to be a very, very good first baseman. He didn't say Gold Glover.
A comparison of the two. Teixeira, 292, more homers, more RBIs, better average for Kendry Morales, and a little different looking bank account.
Imagine them in the same lineup, however.
The 1-2. 2 out. And strikeout number 2 for Sabathia.
That's that grip we were talking about earlier. That allows Sabathia to throw that tailing fastball. There it is right there. Putting the pressure on the seam, and that makes that ball go away from the right-handed batter. Good pitch to Morales.
Here's Howie Kendrick. Kendrick hit 291. At one point was sent out to AAA. Came into this season as a career 300 hitter in the big leagues. Big numbers in the minor leagues. He takes a ball inside.
in his career against the Yankees. A .426 average. And he's usually in the lineup when a lefty starts. There's a strike and the count evens 1-1. That look at the catcher by Posada, brought to you by BlackBerry. And a flare into right center field that drops in front of Swisher, who didn't see it all the way. And for the second straight inning, a 2-out base hit for the Angels, and that'll bring in Jeff Mathis.
You can see Swisher saying that he lost that ball in the lights. I guess the most famous this postseason. The outfielder that lost the ball in the lights, Matt Holliday of the St. Louis Cardinals, in Game 2 against the Dodgers. That would have been the 3rd out and the 27th out for the Cardinals. As it happened, the Dodgers scored 2 runs, and that was part of their sweep of St. Louis.
Two-out runner at first, and the batter is Jeff Mathis, the catcher. 93-mile-an-hour fastball for strike 1. Mathis, why is he in the lineup instead of Mike Napoli? Well, with John Lackey in 18 starts, 2 have combined for a 9-4 record, an ERA of 2.89. Better numbers than Lackey has when Napoli is behind the plate this season. So this combination will continue as long as the Angels stay alive in the postseason. Napoli was behind the plate for Lackey's first 10 starts, 10 of the first 11, and then Mathis has caught the last 17. Mathis not the hitter, Napoli is, and he's set up here at 1-2.
Oh, Jeff has struck out 72 times in 82 games, and that pitch about 9 inches outside. But again, that's that very effective sinker to right-handers by Sabathia.
Little comebacker, gets past Sabathia. Cano makes the play, shows the arm. Inning over. A smile from Sabathia, why not? 2-0 New York after an inning and a half. A look at Times Square on a cold night in New York. It's the ALCS. Tonight's game on Fox is sponsored by Budweiser. Reach for the perfect combination of flavor and refreshment. Budweiser, the great American lager. Robinson Cano, who this year had the top average in the major leagues when leading off an inning, takes a ball outside from John Lackey. That's down and in, 2-0.
David Cone, the ex-Yankee, ex-Met, ex-Toronto Blue Jay, threw out the first pitch tonight. He was up in the booth before the game, and he said Robinson Cano is one of the most unusual hitters he's ever seen. You can't walk him, and you can't strike him out. And he hits over 300.
Meanwhile, David Cone threw out the ceremonial first pitch and threw a slider.
He threw a slider, right.
He invented another pitch on the mound. It's another ceremonial first pitch. This one had a break to it. Here's the 2-1 to Cano. And a line drive into center. Hunter back. 1 out. Weather has been such an issue, Ken Rosenthal. It will continue to be, not only in this series, but as we go through the NLCS as well. What can you tell us about any rule changes with the game and what they're thinking?
Well, Joe, everything you thought you knew about rain-interrupted games in October, forget it. Baseball adopted a new rule this past offseason, and it's a rule that formalized the one that Commissioner Bud Selig implemented on his own during Game 5 of last year's World Series. The rule, guys, is simple. Every game will be played to its proper completion. No rain-shortened games of any kind, no games called on account of weather. Now, it doesn't matter which inning the delay starts, doesn't matter what the score is at the time. I called the commissioner today for one final clarification, and he repeated, every game will be played to conclusion, you bet.
Thank you, Ken. Such a big part of our postseason last year, and certainly during the World Series. Ken alluded to Game 5 of the World Series in Philly. I think we were there long enough we could legally vote. Finally got through that. Now here we are back in the postseason in '09, and weather is a big issue. Here's one into center. Swisher got under it, and Torrey Hunter hauls in out number 2. The number 9 batter, Melky Cabrera, will step to the plate. Tonight's John Hancock question of the day. The Angels are one of 2 teams to defeat the Yankees in consecutive postseason series. Name the other. Even though it's not back-to-back years, it's still back-to-back series between the Yankees and the Angels. Lost. The Yankees did to the Angels in the divisional series, most recently in 2002 and 2005. Lackey was a part of that Angels team in 2002. They won it all, and he made the start in Game 7 of the World Series against the Giants.
As a rookie.
That's on the outside corner, and that is strike 2. Cabrera during the regular season hit .274, 2 for 12 so far this postseason. Another one to center. Torrey Hunter took care of all 3. Third inning rolls in. Sabathia back to work. 2-0 New York. We are in the 3rd inning. It's 2-0 New York, and it's the number 9 man Ibar first up, and he takes the ball. Eric Ibar had a fantastic season, and we talked to Mike Scioscia before the game and said, could you make the argument that he is your most valuable player? And he said, well, if you take into consideration that he plays shortstop for us, yes, you could make that claim. Here's one into right center that slices over to Swisher, 1 out. Ibar hit .312. That was good for 8th best in the American League. He was involved in that misplay on the left side of the infield. There could very well be 2 errors on the board for the Angels in this game. One on the throw by Rivera from the left field line that just kind of trickled into the middle of the diamond that allowed Damon to get to second base, and then certainly on that pop-up on the left side of the infield, even though it didn't touch either this man Figgins or the last guy Ibar. The official scorer has the ability to give an error, pick a guy, give an error. That's not an RBI single.
No. Nor is Johnny Damon obviously he's got to get a hit. He had a single and then went to second base on the throw, but that throw was errant. And when you make an errant throw, you should get an error.
1 ball, 1 strike on Sean Figgins, who bounced out to second his first time up. Carried into this game a career 182 average during postseason play. But he's trying to bunt his way on. He's the guy that really sets up this lineup. He is so far 0 for 13 during the postseason. During the regular season, he led the Angels with 183 base hits. Led the team with 42 steals. Was caught 17 times. But he's the guy that kickstarts this team, and he has yet to really figure it out during October. 1-2 pitch. 2 out.
That's a matter of getting a hitter to think about the inside pitch and slicing that outside corner. And once again, that pitch that has been so effective for CC Sabathia since the All-Star break. It's a minor change, but a big one. Suggested by Dave Island, the pitching coach.
There's Abreu with 2 out, nobody on. Bobby struck out his first time. That's up. Ball 1. Bobby Abreu made $16 million last year with the Yankees. With the economic downturn across this country and not as much money being thrown around this past offseason, he was sitting around waiting for a job. Finally, right before spring training, the Angels called and he worked out a deal for $5 million compared to $16 a year ago. An incentive-laden deal. He got an extra $1 million for plate appearances, but still a bargain, relatively speaking, in today's game for what he's provided the Angels and Mike Scioscia here in 2009. A real leader. As I mentioned during his first at bat, somebody a lot of the younger Angel hitters have learned a lot from about patience at home plate. Strike 2.
Patience and playing every day. Even Joe Girardi making comments in the New York papers today about how you try to take Abreu out of the lineup. You try to rest him and he will not allow it. Huge respect from both Girardi and Scioscia for this man right here.
Breaking ball in the dirt, 2-2. Now they have made an official scoring change. I'm handed the note. The ball hit by Damon. They have given Juan Rivera within the last minute an error on that throw. It's a base hit, E7. Abreu strikes out looking. Top of the order coming up for the Yankees. That means Teixeira, former Angel, current Yankee. 2-0 New York after 2.5. Derek Jeter got it started for New York with a leadoff base hit to right. Scored a run. Damon dropped a base hit down the left field line. An error on the play back in the first. Set up second and third. Sac fly by Rodriguez. An infield RBI hit by Matsui. Counts 2-0.
Joe, we talked in the first inning about whether the cold weather would affect John Lackey's breaking ball. I think it has thus far. A lot of times when it's this cold, it's very difficult to get a grip. It has not affected Sabathia, but it appears to have affected Lackey's curveball.
All pitchers this time of year, not all, but most, look for an advantage to somehow help them get a grip on a baseball. We were involved in that game in Detroit with Kenny Rogers and the pine tar. It was so obviously on him.
Yeah.
And in everybody's living room every time we had a close-up shot of him. But it's something that's in the category of don't ask, don't tell, because it's going on across baseball as Kendry Morales, right on cue, talk about him improving at first base, saves an Ibar error, digging that out. So here we are all bundled up on this night in New York. About 45 degrees at the start of the evening, and so for any pitcher, and you were involved in a lot of October and postseason baseball, getting a grip when it's this cold is difficult.
Yeah, because the ball is slick, and you can see Lackey continuing to rub the ball up, and use that rosin. But there again, he has not really thrown a good curveball all night. Another one out of the strike zone.
And the rosin bag doesn't do as much when it's this cold.
No. It's like April pitching. It's the same thing. April it's cold, October it's cold.
This, by the way, is the coldest game at the new Yankee Stadium. And so while temperatures were down in April and the ball was jumping out of this park, it'll be interesting to see how the ball carries as long as the Yankees play here at home, a ballpark where 237 home runs were hit, the most across baseball, 87 through the first 23 games, which is the most for any stadium in its first 23 games. That's down the left field line. Wind will play with it, and Rivera makes the play. It was a foul ball when it was caught. 2 out. That'll bring in Teixeira. We go up above, and the aerial coverage is brought to you tonight by DirecTV. For the most sports in HD, call 1-800-DirecTV. Big shift on the infield for the Angels as Teixeira stands in and takes a strike from John Lackey. Defensive shift is brought to you by X. Relearn life without cigarettes. Free at becomeanx.org.
X.
There it is. 1 ball, 1 strike, 2 out, nobody on. Teixeira flied out to left on a 3-0 pitch with runners at second and third, nobody out in the first. This is a rocket into the corner. It's a fair ball. 1 hops the wall. Well played by Abreu, and it's a ringing single for Teixeira. Can't hit it any harder than that.
No. That looked like a changeup, a straight change from Lackey. Just hammered. And whenever that ring finger is involved, then that means that it's a changeup. Boy, that ball, you cannot hit a ball any harder than Mark Teixeira hit that ball. Good play by Abreu to hold him to a single.
Here's A-Rod. Sac fly in the first inning, his 7th RBI of this postseason. And for the man who is number 8 on the all-time home run list with 583, a breaking ball in the dirt, ball 1. What a year it's been for Alex Rodriguez. That's inside 2-0, admitting that he used steroids during the spring, then undergoing serious hip surgery. And then just about the minute he came back into this lineup for the Yankees, he started hitting home runs as he fouls it back. 7 of his first 10 hits left the park after he was activated on May 8th. But I think part of his success early, he was unburdened with expectations. Nobody knew how he was going to physically respond to that surgery. It was performed out in Vail in early March. And not only did he come back and start pounding home runs, but Teixeira was protected in this lineup. That's too far inside. And the count's 3-1.
So far, Alex Rodriguez has seen 7 pitches from John Lackey. 6 of those pitches have been inside fastballs. Again, pitchers have to impress A-Rod inside and then go away. If you allow him to own the outside part of the plate, he'll kill you.
That's up the middle and a base hit. Teixeira will turn and go to third, no play, as Hunter's throw comes into second. And Rodriguez has his 6th hit of this postseason.
Again, this gives you an idea of what the Angels are trying to do with Rodriguez. After missing with a curveball, it's inside, inside, misses inside, and then a breaking ball on the outside part trickle through to center field.
It brings in Matsui. Hideki Matsui, a free agent to be.
Last year battled knee injuries, had surgery eventually, had 9 home runs, 45 RBIs, a bounce back year here in '09. Ball 1 low. 28 homers, 90 RBIs. As an RBI single that was just a pop-up on the left side of the infield. In this game, that happened back in the first. Maybe the cleanest bat in the history of Major League Baseball. And he grounds one right at Kendry Morales to end the inning. 2 hits, 2 left. The Yankees have stranded 3. We've played 3. 4th inning. Big bats coming up for the Angels, down 2-0. Tonight's game on Fox is sponsored by John Hancock. The future is yours. By Wendy's, you know when it's real. And by Frost Brewed Coors Light, the world's most refreshing beer. Torrey Hunter first up. He singled his first time. Now 3 for 11 this postseason. Pine Bluff, Arkansas. And the number 3 hitter in this lineup for the Angels. Trying to get something started for LA against Sabathia, who's allowed 2 hits, struck out 4. And nothing really hard hit against him. On the infield for Jeter, backs up a few. 1 out. We talked to the Yankee manager Joe Girardi. First question was about his left-hander and how he's pitched so far tonight.
Yeah, I love the way he's attacking the zone and using his fastball tonight and pitching in and out with it. You know, making the hitter somewhat uncomfortable, and on an uncomfortable night, I love the way he's attacking the zone.
Joe, particularly effective to right-handed batters with that changed grip fastball on the outside.
Yeah, it's a little sinker that he throws, and you know, he's getting some strikes with it, and he's staying down in the zone with it, and then he's got the great changeup to go with it.
You look at Alex Rodriguez, and so much has been made of that divisional series against Minnesota. But in this game alone, a sac fly, a base hit up the middle. I know you don't want to make too much of it, but it has to make you happy knowing that your third baseman is trying to stay hot.
Yeah, his at-bats during the postseason have been great, and you get second and third, nobody out. You don't want to leave that inning without scoring a run, and he gets a big sack, and then we can take 2-0 lead.
Joe, thanks for your time.
Thanks, guys.
We went out talking before the game and remarking about the change in demeanor for Joe Girardi from a year ago. As Guerrero is jammed, fouls it off, strike 2. Joe Girardi is as relaxed and as comfortable talking to him before this game as he might be at the end of April.
Yeah, I once heard a remark that a good manager is someone who makes you forget who managed before him. Now, that's not the case with Joe Girardi. It's certainly the case with Mike Scioscia.
That's foul and out of play.
But you're right. I mean, we both see a more of a comfort level with Joe Girardi this year compared to last year, certainly compared to his first year when he was manager of the year with the Florida Marlins 3 years ago, and then was fired after that 2007 season. He's going to manage really for a long, long time.
A ball and 2 strikes, 1 out, nobody on. Guerrero looks at ball 2 upstairs. Ken Rosenthal, do you detect the same that we do about Joe Girardi?
Yes, Joe, and so does Yankees general manager Brian Cashman. I asked Cashman a few weeks back about Girardi, and he said last year he showed everyone his intellect. This year he's showing people his heart.
Here's a shot into left center field, back at the wall. Vladimir Guerrero bounces one up against, and Guerrero, who cruises around first, is just now getting to second base with a 1-out double, and I think he's shocked that ball stayed in the park.
Well, earlier in the game, the wind was blowing in from left field. That ball, he's only going to get a double on that ball anyway. But I think he is shot. I think he's kind of kidding with second baseman Robinson Cano, saying that he did think that ball was going to be out.
Hitting that right into the teeth of the wind, and now Juan Rivera. realize that Guerrero, if you're seeing the Angels for the first time in a while, Vladimir Guerrero can't run well at all. Really not moving well. The Angels don't play him in right field hardly at all. Last time he was out there was the first week of July. 2 times he was on the disabled list. A hamstring issue was one of his problems this season, and he is just not moving well. Rivera chops one foul. That ball just got out there to left center field and hit a wall of wind and short hopped the wall.
I'm not too sure. He didn't think the ball was out.
I think he did.
He was in a home run trot rounding first base.
That ball bounced up into that glass area. I think he thought it bounced over the wall. Rivera in the hole 0-2, meaning flew over the wall and then bounced. But instead it's a 1-out double, and Juan Rivera is set up at no balls, 2 strikes. That's ball 1.
We talked about John Lackey not being able to get a grip on his breaking ball. All 3 hits by the Angels off Sabathia have been off breaking balls. So CC also having problems with his curveball tonight.
Two and 2. Juan Rivera had the 3rd best slugging percentage against left-handed pitching in the American League this year, and as I started to say in his first at bat, the guy who had never had more than 450 at bats until this season. He is one of the better kept secrets in baseball as to how dangerous he can be. 25 home runs, 88 RBIs, and he hit 287.
12 of those 25 home runs off left-handed pitching.
2-2 pitch to the right side. Teixeira will take it to the bag. 2 out. Once again, the John Hancock question of the day. The Angels are one of 2 teams to defeat the Yankees in consecutive postseason series. The other, the 21-22 New York Giants. Back in the World Series, 1921-1922.
I could have had 25 guesses at that, would not have come up with that.
There's a lot going on with New York baseball in the early 20s.
So it's forgivable. Right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I forgive you. Yeah. Here's a little base hit into left field off the bat of Kendry Morales. It's a 2-1 game. Kendry Morales gets the 2-out RBI hit and cuts the Yankee lead in half.
One of the more irritating things about a battery is when you make the pitch you want to, you get it in that location. And even though that ball was up, trying to come up and in to Morales, he gets it there, and Morales just powers it over the infield. And the Angels are on the board.
Now Howie Kendrick takes a fastball high. Kendrick, his first time up, singled. Tying run at first with 2 out. We talk so much about Girardi. I think the guy in the other dugout, Mike Scioscia, who's in his 10th year with the Angels, I don't think anybody does a better job managing a team throughout the course of a season than Mike Scioscia.
He misses nothing.
Just won his 5th division in the last 6 years. As ball 2 misses up and away.
has the most wins in franchise history. Franchise that dates back to 1961 when the Angels came in as an expansion team. To Kendrick. 2-1. "58 pitches here in game one for CC Sabathia. Morales with a small lead over at first. He's one of the members of this lineup that doesn't run much. 3 stolen bases, was caught 7 times. This is an Angel lineup that during the course of the season had the second highest total in stolen bases with 148. But they were caught more than any team in Major League Baseball trying to steal. Kendrick into center field, and that ball's caught by Cabrera, inning over. But the Angels are on the board. A 2-out RBI hit by Kendry Morales. 2-1 New York after 3.5. For New York, it'll be Posada, Cano, and Nick Swisher. First year of this new ballpark. It's what you get for $1.5 billion, where they celebrate the history of this great organization. And it's as pretty outside the ballpark as it is inside, as Posada squirts one to short for Ibar. 1 out. Jorge Posada 0 for 2, and the batter will be Cano. Some of the history, some of the current players that are celebrated here. Celebrate the championships. Tino Martinez, who's at the park tonight. Brocious. The 3 straight, 98, 99, 2000, after Joe Torre and company won that World Championship in 1996 over Bobby Cox and the Atlanta Braves. After losing the first 2 games in the Bronx. There's David Cohen on the left, Tino Martinez. Turn around, Tino. You're on national TV.
Great profiles.
One ball, no strikes on Cano. Ball and a strike on Cano, who lined out to center his first time up.
How about that production? Here's Robinson Cano, first year in the new stadium, 1923. They won the World Series. 1976, lost in the World Series. That was the renovation of Shea Stadium. What's going to happen this year?
Little pop up to the shortstop Ibar, and this crowd gets all over Eric Ibar, who let one fall in front of him in the first inning. That run is the difference in the game right now. Cano's 0 for 2. 2 out, nobody on. I mentioned Shea Stadium, where the Yankees played 2 seasons while they renovated the old Yankee Stadium, which is now gutted, but still standing. And they're taking it down, from what we understand, piece by piece. Lackey is settled in. And he hits the outside corner. Good pitch to Nick Swisher. Strike 1. Swisher fly to center his first time up. That's outside. The Angels in their half of the 5th will have Mathis, Ibar, and Figgins. Two and 1. Started this game 46 degrees, light rain. The rain has stopped, but it has not gotten any warmer. 2-1. Good pitch inside corner, 2-2.
That's the best breaking ball that either pitcher has thrown tonight. In a fastball count, could see that sweeping breaking ball in there to even the count to Nick Swisher.
Lackey's 2-2 is over but low. John Lackey has an ERA of 1.71 over his last 3 postseason starts. He's allowed 2 runs in this game, one of them unearned because of an error on a throw by Juan Rivera in left. Trying to take us all to the 5th inning. Base hit left field off the bat of Swisher.
Good hitting by Nick Swisher. This pitch right on the outside corner. It's up a little bit. You can see that concentration of Swisher trying to hit the ball the other way. Good job.
6th hit of the night for New York, all singles for the team that led the big leagues in home runs. We're number 2 overall in average, number 2 to the Angels. As a group, the Yankees hit .283. Cabrera fouls it back. Melky hit .274 during the regular season.
Kind of an afterthought, but did you think that Nick Swisher closed his eyes when he made contact? It appeared that he may have closed his eyes on contact on that base hit to left field.
Blocked by Mathis.
The eyes certainly got big on a high fastball. It's close.
Mid-blink at least.
Yeah, yeah.
We'll certainly have more time to talk about Swisher, but I think he has added so much. That ball is in the dirt. Cabrera went around. It appeared. And they have the 2nd strike up on the board. It's 1-2. You know, you can talk about A.J. Burnett doing the pies in the face after big hits or big performances in the postseason, but to me, the guy that's made the difference in lightening the mood with the Yankees is the guy at first base, Nick Swisher. That's low.
Yeah, almost to a man, the Yankee players say that. He's a guy that, from a teasing standpoint, you can get on him, and he expects to get on you.
And I think teams need that in the postseason.
Absolutely.
And here in New York, where the pressure seems even greater,
yep,
Yankees really need it. And Swisher's brought it with him. Down here last year with the White Sox, made the deal the Yankees did in November to bring him here. He's no Gold Glover in the outfield. He hit .249 during the regular season, but popped 29 home runs. Sits on the floor in the clubhouse and gets on everybody that walks through the door, and they get right back on him. He'll take off. 3-2 pitch to Cabrera. That's a foul ball. I think the Phillies get that with Shane Victorino, a guy who lightens the mood, releases the pressure valve at this time of year. Swisher is that guy for the Yankees. On deck is Jeter. A 3-2 pitch again, and again a foul ball right side. By the way, happy birthday, Tim.
Thank you very much, Joe.
That's it.
That's fine.
You wouldn't want to be sitting here with anybody but you.
I feel the same way.
Runner goes. 3-2 pitches in the dirt. It's 2 on with 2 out. Back to the top of the order, Jeter.
That was a gritty at bat by Melky Cabrera.
Is that true? Your birthday wish is a 7-game series.
Yep.
Warm and dry weather.
Yeah, we're going to get that in Southern California.
And something expensive from me.
Yes.
Again.
Anything but a tie, please.
That one you're wearing is not that great. Cabrera at first. Lead runner is Swisher. And Jeter, who's 1 for 2. Trying to add to a 1-run Yankee lead in the 4th. Good breaking ball from Lackey. Strike 1.
This inning, third time through the order, John Lackey is getting a lot more confidence in his breaking ball. It is really coming around, and from a catching standpoint, that's what you try to do, realizing, as another one, as Mike Scioscia said, it's tough for John Lackey to get through a ball game without spinning the ball. So the curve ball for a strike to Jeter, and he backs it up.
So again, 2 strikes on Jeter. Outfield swung around to the right. Lackey trying to get around to hit and a walk. '76th pitch of the night for John Lackey. About to head home to Derek Jeter. Talk about how the Angels are a patient bunch and how they've become more patient. The addition of Abreu. The Yankees, one of the most patient teams in the game. And 3 pitches, a strikeout for Lackey as he went right through Derek Jeter. Yankees have stranded 5 into the 5th. 2-1 New York. Back after this from your local Fox station. The National League Championship Series will move to Philadelphia. Game 3 on TBS on Sunday night, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. Chip Carey, Buck Martinez, Ron Darling will have the call. That series is tied at a game apiece, and those guys got to see a beauty today at Dodger Stadium. Teixeira takes it. Mathis is tagged out. 1 pitch, 1 out. To start the 5th inning, 2-1 New York.
Joe, Hiroki Kuroda against Cliff Lee in game 3. This postseason, Cliff Lee is 1-0 with a 1.10 earned run average. I think the reason that Mark Teixeira took that play himself is because Sabathia, we talked about how big a man he is, 290 pounds, strong tonight after 8 days off, and his follow-through carries him toward the third base side. So you really can't, if you're a first baseman, expect him to recover in time and get over there and cover first base. Well, that's Sabathia. And now he's got to almost pivot, turn around, and Teixeira decides to take it himself.
1 ball, no strikes on Eric Ibar, who flied out to right his first time up. Now 2-0. We're on the air with game 2 of this ALCS tomorrow night, same time, 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific. The weather is not supposed to be good tomorrow night at all. If we get rained out, the plan now from Major League Baseball is to play game 2, 4:30 Eastern on Sunday. Should be a big day of sports on Fox. There's a strike, 2-1. Terrific NFL matchup. Maybe the top 2 teams in the NFC will hook up in the early window on Sunday afternoon here on Fox, and that'll be the New York Giants and the New Orleans Saints. Here's a 2-1 to Ibar. There's strike 2. Here is that matchup. Eli Manning. I don't think Eli Manning's played this well during the regular season at any point in his career.
Really?
And he's never played a game in the Superdome, taking on Drew Brees in that high-scoring offense of the New Orleans Saints. Here's a 2-2 to Ibar. Defensive swing, and Eric stays alive. Ibar has been gaining experience as the years have gone on. Just 79 games in 2007, hit .237. 98 games in 2008, hit .277. Hit .312 in 137 games in 2009. 2-2 pitch. Left side for Rodriguez. Has to hurry the throw and gets it to first in time. 2 out. With the bases empty, back to the top of the lineup, Sean Figgins. The Boys and Girls Clubs of America is the official charity of Major League Baseball, reaching more than 4 million kids worldwide. Together, they create a positive place for kids. The Angels have got to get Sean Figgins figured out. He has to figure out what he's trying to do with the bat. Now 0 for 14 during this postseason, and he takes a strike. Ball, 1 strike.
Angels hopeful that Figgins can get on there and then maybe take a chance and try and run against Sabathia, even with that slide step. Be interesting if Figgins does get on.
He'll show his speed. Jeter makes the play, and the inning is over. 3 groundouts. Halfway through game number 1. Sabathia, Lackey, 2-1 New York. 2, 3, and 4 hitters coming up for the Yankees. Tonight's game on Fox is sponsored by Chevy and their award-winning cars, trucks, and crossovers. Here is Johnny Damon, 2, 3, and 4 hitters for the Yankees, up by 1. Trying to get Sabathia a little breathing room, taking on Lackey, who has really settled in now. And he fires a strike. Damon with a base hit his first time up. Scored a run. A couple of misplays figured in. And that run is now the difference in this game. First time up, Johnny Damon broke his bat as he dropped one down the left field line, and that's the Coors Light Freeze Cam, brought to you by Frost Brewed Coors Light, the world's most refreshing beer. Here's one into left center field. It gets down. Trickles to the track. Damon will hold at second with a leadoff double. And Damon, who was 1 for 12 in the division series, is 2 for 3 here tonight.
Well, you're talking about freeze frame, and that's exactly what Kevin Long has tried to impress Johnny Damon, is to keep your head still, freeze your head. As the body goes forward and the hands go back, keep the head still, because his head's been moving a lot. And sure enough, tonight, 2 little clunkers into left field, a single and a double. But that head appears to be all right as far as Kevin Long is concerned right now.
And for Kevin Long, he said he's still going to drift. The head's still going to move. That's the way he swings the bat. However, it was getting to an extreme during the division series, and that's what Damon was working on when he took extra batting practice and participated in the simulated game. Teixeira up, 0-1 pitch is inside. Mark with a ringing single. Short hop the wall and right. His last time up, he's 1 for 2. Two and 1.
Matter of choosing your poison if you're John Lackey. Mark Teixeira, 122 RBIs on the season. Alex Rodriguez with 100.
Three balls and a strike. Still looking for a base hit. The runner in scoring position this postseason. Count in his favor, 3 balls and a strike. Fooled on the pitch. It's a full count.
Good breaking ball and a fastball count. But once you do this, you can come back with a fastball. Teixeira totally fooled on that breaking ball.
Still full. So back-to-back curveballs from Lackey. Trying to figure out Teixeira after the leadoff double by Damon. And a swinging strike for strike 3. A big strikeout for Lackey. His second strikeout of the night.
We talked about it the last inning, getting a feel for that curveball. And Teixeira going after ball 4. Lackey has 2 types of curveballs, one that acts like a slider and one that goes down, and that one a wicked curve in the dirt.
Here's Rodriguez, a sac fly, a single. 6 for 12 this postseason. Runner at second, Damon, 1 out. Ball 1 outside. Ball 2, a base open, and Hideki Matsui next. The big strikeout for Lackey of Teixeira because it opens up the opportunity to be careful with Alex Rodriguez here. See what Lackey brings him on 2-0. 3-0.
And if you do walk Rodriguez, then you can entice the ground ball and get the double play ball from Matsui. Not all hitters cooperate with pitchers, however, in that regard.
See how the Yankees have made Lackey work. 90th pitch coming, and he's not through the 5th.
Remember, we talked about it in the opening. What happens when the starters of both teams leave? Then the bullpen of the Yankees decidedly had the edge over the Angels.
A breaking ball on 3-0. So he made his pitch. It's 3-1. Playing with fire on a cold night is Lackey with a hot Alex Rodriguez at the plate. If he wants to try and work his way back from a 3-0 count. And that'll put 2 on with 1 out. I don't think Lackey minds that walk at all. His second of the night. And now Matsui. This was a Yankee team that, as I mentioned earlier, finished second in the American League, hitting .283 as a team. But as a group, hit only .225 in the 3 games against the Twins in the division series. They were carried by Rodriguez. The only other hitter that did much swinging the bat was Jeter, who was 4 for 10.
When Hideki Matsui first made the Trans-Pacific flight to New York and then across country from the Tokyo Giants, he had a very difficult time with a 2-seam fastball that moved away. In fact, he grounded into more outs than any other major leaguer his first year in the majors. Well, he has changed that as Jason Bulger is up and throwing for the Angels. He handles that pitch much, much better with experience because they don't throw 2-seam sinking fastballs in Japan.
Pretty good pitch from Lackey, called ball 1. That's off his foot, foul. 1 ball, 1 strike on Hideki Matsui.
The reason I bring that up about the two-seam fastball is that when a pitcher wants to get a double play ball, normally he'll throw the two-seamer, the ball that sinks down and away, to the left-handed batter and hope he hits it at somebody.
Strike two. Leadoff double by Damon. Teixeira struck out. A 3-2 pitch. A walk to Rodriguez. A 1-2 count on Hideki Matsui. Line drives a base hit into left center field. Damon will score. Rodriguez digging his way to third. They hold. Alex Lady runs through the stop sign. The play at the plate. The collision and the out. Rodriguez ran right through a stop sign for out number 2.
What an extraordinary play by Jeff Mathis, the catcher. The in-between hop on the backhand, and then what catchers try to do, they try to get it into their bare hand when they know a collision is coming. If you have time, there's no time here. Rodriguez bowls over Mathis, and Jeff holds on. That is an extraordinary play by Jeff Mathis. Wow. Talk about in harm's way.
Obviously the ball gets there before Rodriguez. They have the collision. I don't know if the glove ever touched Alex Rodriguez.
I don't know if Alex Rodriguez ever touched home plate either.
It's a 3-1 Yankee lead. Rodriguez ran right through a stop sign by Rob Thompson, the third base coach. Kept on coming, and now Posada grounds to first for Morales. And it's 3-1 New York after 5. It's a double, an RBI, and the out at the plate, 7-6-2. That's the way it's scored. The throw from Ibar got him. 3-1 after 5. Tonight's game on Fox is sponsored by DirecTV. No one else has all your favorite channels in HD. 6th inning, game 1 of the American League Championship Series. Here's the end of the play with Rodriguez slapping home plate. Our replays, as we've looked at them during the break, it didn't look like the glove with the baseball in it ever touched Rodriguez. There's a ball inside.
You're almost always going to get that call, however, regardless of whether you touch him or not. Because you have limbs entangled there at home plate. And the umpire's trying to get a clear shot of the ball in the glove to see if the tag was made. And generally speaking, and I've talked to umpires about those plays at the plate, the base runner gets himself out. You may not tag him, but he almost tags himself running into the glove. But you're right, Joe. He clearly ran through the stop sign at third base.
Here's a 1-1 to Abreu. That's a strike, 1 and 2. We showed you the play at the plate in the Coors Light Freeze Cam, brought to you by Frost Brewed Coors Light, the world's most refreshing beer. It's Abreu, Torrey Hunter, and Vladimir Guerrero. Abreu has struck out 2 times in this game. 2 of the 4 tonight for Sabathia, and the count evens 2 and 2. That misses for ball 3. Sabathia thought he had his 5th strikeout of the night.
Good call. That pitch appeared to be low. Of course, Sabathia has made more good pitches against Abreu than anyone in that Angel lineup.
3-2 pitch, and Abreu lines one into left field. Damon makes the catch. And is yelping as he gets back to his feet. Pretty good jump by Johnny Damon for out number one.
Well, positioning is so important for outfielders because they've got more room to cover to make plays. Good thing Johnny Damon did not get hurt diving for that ball toward the line.
Melky Cabrera comes all the way over to check on him and now has to run back to his position in center field. Damon initially said something. I don't know if slamming that right wrist or hand down onto the grass hurt him or something with his legs, but he appears to be okay. One out, nobody on for Hunter, who drops down a bunt. Couldn't have laid it out there any better, and out at first as the call is made by Laz Diaz. It looked like Teixeira may have come off the bag, and Mike Scioscia sprints out of the dugout to argue out number two.
His foot was off the bag. Great play by Sabathia, barehanding it, throwing all in one motion. Watch the right foot of Teixeira. It's off the bag. Was it on long enough after the catch, however? I don't think so.
There was a split second there where it looked like the ball may have been in the glove. Toes on the bag, and Scioscia's letting Laz Diaz hear it.
That was a marvelous bunt by Torrey Hunter. A better play by Sabathia. And the Yankees get that call. See it one more time. I thought he was off the bag. The fact that he had to come back, to me, showed that he was off the bag. It was close.
Here's Vladimir Guerrero, who doubled into left center field his last time, scored the only run of the night for the Angels on a 2-out hit by Morales. 2 out, nobody on. Sabathia trying to go through the 2, 3, and 4 hitters, and Torrey Hunter just tried to drop down a bunt to get on. Let's take another. Here's a different angle. Definitely comes off the bag at the end of the play.
Well, Torrey Hunter had perhaps the best view of his right foot, and if he reacted that quickly, you know, you can't stage something like that. You see it off the bag and you immediately react to it, and that's what I would go on as much as anything.
Guerrero set up at 1 and 2. 2 out, nobody on. Worth every penny so far. CC Sabathia. Another look. Bottom of the 6th, 3-1 New York. 7, 8, 9 hitters for the Yankees, up by 2. Cano first up, and he's fooled by that pitch, strike 1 on a foul ball. Cano is 0 for 2. He's lined to center, popped up. Sabathia has struck out 5, allowed 1 run on 4 hits. Lackey's allowed 3 runs on 8 hits. That is launched in the air to right. Back is Abreu at the wall. 1 out. Tonight's aerial coverage brought to you by DirecTV. For the most sports in HD, call 1-800-DirecTV. We thank them for joining us here tonight. A cold, windy night, rain at the start. It has stopped about the 2nd inning, and
It's just dry, windy, and cold.
There are not many months that ball just hit by Cano would have been an out in this ballpark. It would have been a home run.
Here's Swisher. Base hit to left his last time. Takes ball one. 1 for 2 in this game is Nick Swisher, who hit only 8 of his 29 home runs here at the new Yankee Stadium. Known as a launching pad in its first year, Swisher hit more on the road. More RBIs on the road. Better road average. Good curveball from Lackey, strike 2. Regular season and postseason combined, the numbers much better away from Yankee Stadium. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Two and 2.
For John Lackey, this has almost been the story of 2 pitching performances. Mostly fastballs the first 3 innings. Mostly breaking balls the last 3 innings.
The 2-2. Nick Swisher is one of 7 Yankees to have 20 or more home runs, 80 or more RBIs. If you want to know how good a team is, how good an American League lineup is, the Cliff Notes way to look at it is look at who's batting in the number 8 spot. And Nick Swisher, 29 home runs, 82 RBIs out of the number 8 position, and he strikes out for the 3rd strikeout of the game for Lackey. 2 out. Tonight's Verizon game summary, if you're just joining us as we come up to 10 o'clock. A couple of misplays in the first inning led to 2 runs. A couple of hits mixed in as well. RBI by Kendry Morales made it 2-1, and then Matsui made it 3-1. Damon scored. Rodriguez was out at the plate running through a stop sign and tagged out by Mathis for the Verizon game summary. Otherwise, it's been Lackey and Sabathia, and no surprise with how effective each has been. Cabrera, the number 9 hitter, 0 for 1 with a walk. 1 ball, 1 strike.
I continue to see that play by Mathis in admiration of Jeff. I mean, when you think about all the things you have to do from a catching standpoint, an in-between hop, tough to center the hop, and now you've got a 235-pound guy bearing down on you. You don't know where he is because you're so consumed with the hop. You're trying to get the ball in the bare hand, but you don't have enough time. I mean, 99 out of 100 of those plays that you just saw, a catcher would not hold on to the ball, but Mathis did.
3-1 on Cabrera. Full count. Lackey trying to have a perfect 6th. In the 7th for the Angels, it'll be Rivera, Kendry Morales, and Howie Kendrick. Bulger again is getting loose for the Angels. .110 pitches on the night for John Lackey. 111 is a 2-out walk. Second walk issued to Melky Cabrera. And now Derek Jeter will either face Bulger out of the bullpen or Lackey for the 4th time in this game. In case you're just joining us, 45 degrees at the start of the night. Light rain. It's not raining anymore, and it stayed 45. As we play here in the bottom of the 6th, and Jeter will deal with Lackey. He's 1 for 3. Struck out his last time up. Ball one. Figures to be the last inning for Lackey. If he doesn't get Jeter, it could be the last batter for Lackey. Damon is 2 for 3. He's on deck. There's a strike. 1 ball, 1 strike. This one gets away, and Cabrera will go down to second base. It'll be the second error of the game for the Angels.
And it will be a throwing error on John Lackey, throwing it out of range for Morales, who has to go through the runner to try to make the play. Throws it behind Cabrera for an error.
Could be a big error with Jeter at the plate. Runner in scoring position, 2 out, and Jeter lines one into center. Here comes Cabrera. The ball gets away from Hunter, and a run will score. Jeter to second. Jeter will hold, and it's 4-1 New York.
This is an uncharacteristically poor defensive game for a team that prides itself on the little things in baseball. The error by Lackey, and now I would imagine that's going to be an error on Torrey Hunter. And that follows the misplays in the first inning. Wow.
3 errors tonight, 2 in this inning. And Lackey's night is finished. 4-1 New York as we play in the bottom of the 6th inning here in game 1. Bulger deals with Johnny Damon. Good tight breaking ball for strike 1. Damon with a runner at second. Jeter 2 out, a run home. 3 errors in the game for the Angels after committing only 1 error in the 3 divisional series games against the Red Sox total. RBI single for Jeter on that last ball, E8. Hunter made 1 error all year. In the air to left, right at Rivera. The inning is over. Lackey goes 5 2/3. 4 runs, 2 earned. It's a 3-run game. Back after this from your local Fox station. Yes, CC Sabathia got the big check from the Yankees to come to New York. Angels toyed with the idea of adding him as a free agent over the offseason. Torrey Hunter was recruiting him to come to Southern California. But what CC Sabathia has done is really mature as a pitcher. He's always had great stuff since he came up with the Indians in 2001. Talking to Mike Scioscia, told us before the game, and it's played out even here tonight in game 1. He controls the running game better than he used to. Fields his position certainly better than he used to.
As he's proven.
Here is Rivera hooking one down the left field line. It is foul. And he's not out there trying to strike everybody out. He's got that kind of stuff. But he's more than happy to avoid the strikeout if he can get contact and use his defense.
I think that is the one thing that Dave Allen, the pitching coach of the Yankees, has impressed upon CC, and it's really a credit to both of them. I mean, first year of a big contract. I mean, how many guys would listen to a young pitching coach? Dave Allen in his 3rd year in the major leagues. But CC listened to him, and this second half has reaped huge benefits for the Yankees. He's lost 1 game since the All-Star break.
That's high, ball 1. We can talk about how the season started for Sabathia. And pitching to contact, though, is what keeps the pitch count down and could add to the possibility that he would make 3 starts, 1 on short rest in this ALCS, as Rivera pops it foul back and out of play. First 22 starts for Sabathia with the Yankees. He went 11-11. The team did. CC went 10-7, an ERA of 3.83. Struck out just over 6.5 batters per 9 innings pitched. Last 13 starts since the 1st of August, 12-1 are the Yankees. CC's 10-1. ERA is down. Strikeouts are indeed up. Overall, 230 innings pitched during the season, and he gets strikeout number 6.
Good breaking ball out of the strike zone to get Rivera. Yeah, when Sabathia first came up in 2001, he was a power pitcher in every sense of the word. That cut fastball in on right-handers. He was what a lot of hitters referred to as a one-area pitcher. Only the cut fastball inside, sliders inside to right-handers, and away to left-handers. But now, as you said, he is really mixing his stuff up, changing speeds with that power changeup. That's about 87, 88 miles an hour, and really keeping hitters off balance.
It's really the movement, and you've talked about it tonight. The ball almost runs away from a right-handed batter, almost like a really, really hard screwball.
Yeah, well, that's that grip change from Island and Sabathia. CC employed it after Island suggested it. That's that pitch right there.
Counts 2-0. Kendry Morales has the only RBI tonight for the Angels. 2-out hit back in the 4th. And he hasn't walked a batter. CC Sabathia 3-0 now on Morales. Big difference from the previous 3 postseasons for Sabathia. There's a strike, 3-1. CC Sabathia was 0-2 in the 2007 ALCS for the Indians against Boston and had an ERA of 10.45. Seems like a long, long time ago for Sabathia, who issues his first walk of the night. Down to first is Kendry Morales, and the Angels have to hope that that walk can start something. Howie Kendrick walks in. It may start action eventually in the Yankee bullpen. You've talked about already a couple of times, Tim, a big advantage for New York in this series against the Angels, really against anybody, and that to me is the big change for the Yankees from years past. In the past it was just Jabba. Now it's Jabba Chamberlain, Phil Hughes, Robertson, Phil Koch, the left-hander, all setting up the best closer, short reliever in the history of the game.
Yeah.
Strike 1.
And that man is right in the center of your picture right there, Mariano Rivera. Joe Girardi telling us that a 4-out save is not out of the question this evening.
Kenny Rosenthal is with us down below, and we'll talk to him after this 0-1 pitch to Kendrick. Ground ball, right side, diving stop, Cano. 2 out. All bundled up on a cold night, but he laid out to get this one.
And when that ball was immediately hit, Cano's probably thinking, I'll go to second, but realizing the Yankees have a 3-run lead, you take the sure out. Well done by Cano.
Now a visit from Jorge Posada to Sabathia, and Mike Napoli is going to come off the bench and bat for Mathis, the better of the two main catchers. The Angels also have Bobby Wilson active on their roster for this postseason. And there's Dave Island, who you talked about, out for this visit as they go over the scouting report for Napoli coming off the bench. Fox NFL Sunday pregame show. They will preview that matchup between the Giants and the Saints. It all starts at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. The Ford Drive 1 Fox NFL Sunday. That's a pitch down and away, ball 1 to Napoli. Mathis is finished for the night. Napoli hit .272 with 20 home runs during the regular season. Big rip. Out in front of it, strike 1.
He was trying to hit his 21st of the season with that swing.
Ball 2 with Eric Ibar, the number 9 batter, on deck. That's as hard as he's thrown all night here in the 7th inning.
Sabathia telling Joe Girardi, I'll throw 110 pitches, I'll throw 140, whatever you want.
This will be pitch number 97. Just fighting it off and fouling it out of play is Napoli, and another visit from Posada.
Still no activity in the Yankee bullpen, and I think the reason for that, Joe Girardi, an ex-catcher, realizing that CC Sabathia is still throwing hard. And in many instances, as you said, Joe, harder than he was earlier.
How about this start for the Yankee ace? 7 strikeouts through 7, electrifying this crowd at Yankee Stadium. It's time to stretch, and here in game 1, New York leads it 4-1. Tonight's game on Fox is sponsored by Travelers Insurance in Sync. By DirecTV, no one else has all your favorite channels in HD. And by Chevy and our award-winning cars, trucks, and crossovers.
Go Yankees! Program Yankee Yearbook.
A little flavor of Yankee Stadium for you as we move into the bottom of the 7th inning. 4-1 New York. They're having fun in the seats here in this ballpark in the Bronx. Tomorrow night, game 2 of this ALCS. Joe Saunders, a left-hander. A.J. Burnett
the right-hander. Saunders hasn't pitched since the 4th of October. Coverage begins at 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific, in high def only on Fox, and then on Sunday. Fox NFL Sunday, the Giants head to New Orleans to take on Drew Brees and the Saints. Showdown between two undefeated teams. The Lions also take on the Packers. Panthers and Bucks are the Rams, and the Jaguars, Donovan McNabb and the Eagles take on the Raiders, the Cardinals, and the Seahawks. Coverage begins Sunday with America's #1 pregame show at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. Check local listings for the game and start time in your area. There's a big matchup early on Fox on Sunday, 5-0, 4-0. And for the Giants, their best start since 1990 when they started 10-0. And for the Saints under Sean Payton and Drew Brees, a 4-0 start, and their offense can just so many different ways. And Bulger is back for his first full inning, he hopes, of relief work here in the 7th.
Kind of like the New York Yankees offense tonight. Scored in myriad ways. And when you mention the pitchers for tomorrow night, Joe Saunders and A.J. Burnett, begs the question, will Jose Molina be the catcher for Burnett? And we asked Joe Girardi that question before the game tonight, and he would not commit. He said, I want the guys to think about tonight's game, and after the game, we will make an announcement whether Molina will catch tomorrow night.
If Jose Molina doesn't catch tomorrow night, I will buy you something expensive for your birthday.
Okay. No, I agree with that. It's almost it's a lead pipe cinch.
It worked well in game 2 of the division series. Joe Girardi kind of talked around the question and the answer and said, we like the way it's been working. We'll talk about it tomorrow, but I think you can pretty much mark it down that Molina will catch Burnett in game 2. Right into the shift. Teixeira hits it to Kendrick. 1 out. Meanwhile, Saunders, the 28-year-old, last year an all-star, the left-hander for the Angels, spent time on the disabled list late in the second half, came back and went 7-0 in decisions after they shut him down with fatigue in his pitching shoulder. But as I mentioned, has not pitched since the 4th of October. Bulger is phase 2, retired 2, and the batter is Alex Rodriguez. And ball 1. I guess the hip's okay, huh? I mean, he's had no problem swinging the bat. He's running fine. He fields his position. He ran through a stop sign and right into a collision at home plate with Mathis back in the 5th and popped right up.
That means your hip's all right.
I mean, a collision on a night like this can't feel good no matter how healthy you are.
To either party.
Here's a 1-0.
The runner or the runnee.
2-0 the count. You still cringe because you were the runnee more times than you were the runner.
Yep. That's right.
Rodriguez has a sac fly, a single, a walk.
Yep.
The breaking ball from Bulger, who Mike Scioscia told us quietly has put together a very good year.
Yeah, Mike Butcher telling me yesterday that Bulger calls that a slider, but to Mike it's a curveball because of its downward movement. More curve than slider.
Good pitch in on the hands of Rodriguez. 2-2. This is not the bullpen that Mike Scioscia rode for the Angels a couple of years ago when you had Scott Shields, who's out with a bad knee and not available to Mike Scioscia. When you had Francisco Rodriguez closing it down, Kelvin Escobar out there in the postseason. 2-2 pitch. Rodriguez checked his swing. Full count.
Yeah, the Angels have led the American League in saves for the last 5 years. this year no exception. Brian Fuentes with 48 saves, and that led the American League.
Three-two. And Rodriguez fooled, 2 out. First strikeout for Bulger. And with 2 out, nobody on, Hideki Matsui will step in. Time for the Mercedes-Benz E-Class attention assist of the game. It started out in left, Ibar in the middle, and then the great play by Mathis at the plate back in the 5th. Bad right hip for Rodriguez, kept out of that collision. There's a strike to Matsui. Hideki has an RBI single in the 5th, grounded out in the 3rd, and an infield pop-up that was officially scored an RBI single back in the 1st. Delayed strike call. It's 0-2. Still no action for the Yankees in their bullpen, so CC Sabathia, even with a possible Game 4 start on the horizon on short rest, is going to go back out there for the 8th. I'm surprised by that a little bit.
I'm not. I don't think his pitch count's really a problem. And again, that quote to Girardi, he's only thrown 98 pitches. He said, Joe, I'll throw 110 or 140.
He looks stressed, I'll tell you that. 1-2 pitch. The only reason why I say it, certainly the pitch count isn't a problem. But when you have Hughes, Chamberlain, even Robertson, and Rivera to try and get 6 outs with a 3-run cushion at the very least, and you hope to avoid having to use a 4th starter, and you're going to bring Sabathia back, that's the plan at this point on short rest, 3 days rest. Why not buy him a little more here in the 8th inning tonight?
I think you can do that without having the bridge from Sabathia to Hughes to Rivera.
Will that stay in play for Morales? The wind just throws it out. And out of the reach of Kendry Morales, still 2-2.
We talked about a 4-out save from Mariano Rivera. So what Joe Girardi might be thinking about right now is if CC gets into trouble in the 8th inning, forget the middleman. Just bring in Rivera with 2 outs, get your 4-out save, and that way you don't have to worry about the middle relief.
Still 2-2 on Matsui.
A lot of that too, Joe, is how he's throwing right now. Composed, still good control, still overpowering the Angels.
Full count. Right-hander is Matt Palmer getting loose for the Angels in their pen. So far, so good for Bulger. Still a full count. It was important for Sabathia and the Yankees to get tonight's game in, as opposed to a rain out tonight. And earlier in the week, the forecast was no good for tonight, Friday night. But now that he's gotten his start in, the game is played, it at least opens up the opportunity to bring him back for Girardi in Game 4. That would not have been the case had we started the ALCS because of a rain out tonight tomorrow. That's low on a 2-out walk. CC Sabathia talks about how he was rested in the second half of the season, and that plays a factor in the postseason now.
just mentally, getting that break. And, I was getting, 6 days in between starts. I was pitching on week's rest and just felt good to go out there and, come to the field and relax a couple days and not have to worry about pitching. So I think that definitely helped.
What a difference from a year ago for Sabathia, who made his last 4 starts, including the postseason start for Milwaukee against Philadelphia on 3 days rest. He was worn out. Here's Posada. Ball 1.
At the press conference yesterday, Mike Scioscia kiddingly said, well, if it rains enough, we'll probably face Sabathia 7 times in this series.
He's yawned at least 3 times down in the dugout.
He has.
I mean, we started a half hour earlier. It's only 10:35. Posada hitless here in game 1, 0 for 3.
Breaking ball here.
And it gets away. That'll send Matsui to second with 2 out. And ball 3 on Posada.
Catchers are trained to keep the ball out in front, but sometimes that ball hits the heel of the glove and just jettisons off to one side or the other. It's actually the thumb of the glove. That is a harder piece of leather than the pocket, of course. Matsui goes to second easily.
Wild pitch, decent form by Napoli, but just got away. Posada, 3-0 pitch, takes a walk, and it's 2 on with 2 out. We'll see if Scioscia stays with Bulger. Cano coming up. Here comes Mike Butcher, the pitching coach. Runners on at first and second, 2 out. And Robinson Cano could deliver a knockout blow here in the 7th. Weekdays, we ask you to make lunchtime your new prime time as FoxSports.com brings you lunch with benefits. Log on to check out new episodes of original sports shows delivered to your desktop every Monday through Friday at 1 Eastern. This Monday, don't miss the after party with Jay Glazer, presented by Sprint, where Jay chats with all of the NFL's biggest performers only at FoxSports.com on MSN. Palmer's still getting loose, but it's up to Bulger and Cano. Bulger trying to keep it a 3-run game. Inside corner, strike 1 on a breaking ball, and Cano didn't like the call.
I think Robinson Cano's approach is going to be different tomorrow night. He is a notorious first ball hitter, and tonight he's been very passive early in the count, and he's taken an 0 for 3 as a result.
Made a couple of good defensive plays out at second base. Now he's in the hole 0-2. Mike Scioscia will send in Ibar, Figgins, and Abreu in the top of the 8th inning against Sabathia. Down and in, ball 1. Nick Swisher would follow, but the count 1 ball 2 strikes on Cano. Started with a 2-out walk to Matsui, a wild pitch during the at-bat by Posada. Posada drew a walk, and now a 1-2. That one, I guess, hit Cano to load the bases. And Cano now will get rid of the bat and go down to first. See where it caught him. On the outside of the left foot, maybe left ankle, and that'll load him up.
It also hit Mike Napoli, the catcher. That breaking ball not only got Cano on the outside of the left foot, but it got a piece of Napoli also.
Here is Nick Swisher. 4 career grand slams, and this October getting his first taste playoff baseball with the Yankees. Ball 1. Swisher 1 for 3 in this game and 2 for 15 so far this postseason.
With the bases loaded, the deeper in the count that you fall behind, the more predictable the pitch is. If you're Swisher right now, you're looking fastball inside part of the plate so you can yank one.
Fastball outer half, strike 1.
May sound simplistic, but that's why pitchers, when they're behind in the count, they work away. When they're ahead in the count, that's the time to come inside.
Just outside, 2-1. Wonder if the Yankees add to their lead here in the bottom of the 7th inning, if it forces action in the Yankee bullpen. Still nobody even getting loose. The 2-1. 2-2.
I catch your drift. That would take the save situation away, at least in the 8th inning. But so far, no one is up. And CC continues to yawn. It's a 3-run game. This is not a yawner.
It seems like that quiet confidence is back for the Yankees this postseason. They expect to win now.
Yeah, you're right. Like the great teams in the late 90s. 96, 98, 99, 2000, world champions.
You know what these fans expect. Runners will take off. 3-2 pitch. And a good delivery from Bulger strikes out Swisher. A 3-2 breaking ball, and Bulger keeps his team in the game. 8th inning. Game 1. 4-1 New York. Tonight's aerial coverage brought to you by DirecTV. For the most sports in HD, call 1-800-DirecTV. CC Sabathia back to work. They start to loosen out in the Yankee bullpen. Phil Hughes is getting loose. It's Ibar, Figgins, and Abreu, the 9, 1, and 2 batters for the Angels, who trail by 3, still in this game. 0-1 from Sabathia is up and away, a ball and a strike. The Angels this season had 15 wins when they trailed by 3 runs. Most in the major leagues, as a pop-up goes back and out of play. Strike two. From up above, a look at Phil Hughes getting loose. The Angels a comeback team. Again, 15 times trailing by 3 or more runs. They came back to win. Highest total in the game in 2009 as that skips in. And the count 2-2. Having to do it here tonight against Sabathia now. And that celebrated Yankee bullpen. That's a grounder foul.
Yeah, back in 2002, Mike Scioscia's Angels found themselves down by 5 runs against the San Francisco Giants. Russ Ortiz was the starter that night. Dusty Baker, the Giant manager, took the ball from Russ. Everybody thought, nope, the Angels are out of it. But the Angels scratched, clawed, fought their way back. Won that game and then won game 7 behind John Lackey.
2-2 again. Back to Sabathia. Right off his cheek, he made the play. 1 out. It's the way the 8th inning begins. Tonight's Travelers game-changing plays. As you look at the comebacker to Sabathia to start the inning.
Well, you have to protect your yawner. That's what CC was doing, get that glove up there.
That was not the game-changing play or plays. I'm sorry. Yawner or not. So with bated breath, we'll ask you to wait for what we have determined to be the game-changing plays. Here's Figgins. He was a part of one of them. Ball 1 low. How about this? First we talk about him. Then we show him. Figgins and Ibar, the third baseman and shortstop, didn't catch a pop-up. Led to the second run of the first inning. First one was helped by a throwing error by Rivera. Torrey Hunter in center field committed 1 error all season. One of the best defensive center fielders in the game, and he has an error on this night. 3 errors to tie a franchise record for a postseason game for the Angels. Hard throwing Kevin Jepson now joins Palmer in the bullpen for the Angels. 2 balls and a strike on Figgins, who's hitless tonight. 2-2.
I mean, the Angels have not made good contact against Sabathia. They're not hitting the ball on the fat part of the bat. A lot of balls on the trademark. 7 strikeouts through 7 1/3. Been around the plate consistently. He has just been overwhelming tonight against the Angels so far.
The 2-2. Sabathia let it go to Jeter. Probably a good idea. Here you go. Travelers game-changing plays. The throw by Rivera, which went for an error. The drop between Ibar and Figgins. The throwing error on the pickoff attempt by Lackey. Hit by Jeter. Error by Hunter in center. Been a sloppy night for a team that took infield along with batting practice during the break after they finished off their 3-game sweep over the Red Sox last Sunday. They went over the basics. We've seen some teams struggle in postseasons past after getting some time off. I think about the Tigers back in 2006. couldn't do anything right. The pitchers couldn't field their position.
That big layoff of the Colorado Rockies against the Boston Red Sox, when the Red Sox swept the Rockies in 4.
Back to the basics. Wow. This tied Abreu in a knot.
He's been doing this all night to Bobby.
Oh, 0-2. Should be the last inning of work for Sabathia. Let's see how he ends his night. How good was he? Matt Palmer, the right-hander, takes over. He replaces Bulger. Bulger did bend a little bit last inning, didn't break. He goes an inning and a third, no runs, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts. Kept the game within reach, and now Melky Cabrera takes a high strike, and we're underway in the bottom of the 8th, and Mariano Rivera starts to get loose. The Angels in the 9th inning will have the heart of their lineup. 3, 4, and 5. Hunter, Guerrero, and Juan Rivera. The 1-1 to Cabrera is up the middle, base hit. 3rd hit of the postseason for Cabrera, first of the night for the Yankee center fielder.
Joe, when you talk about the heart of the lineup, I couldn't help but notice, along with the Yankee Stadium faithful here, between innings they showed the 6th anniversary of Aaron Boone's home run against the Boston Red Sox to win the American League pennant in 2003. And Aaron Boone remarkably had open heart surgery this year, a member of the Houston Astros, and he came back in late August, early September. And what a pleasure it is to report stories like that.
A real good guy and a terrific baseball family.
Oh, fabulous.
Here's Jeter, shows bunt, takes a strike. Jeter tonight has 2 hits, 2 out of 4. He's driven in a run, scored a run. Damon, after going 1 for 12 in the division series, 2 for 4 tonight, he's on deck. Strike 2. 91-mile-an-hour fastball from Matt Palmer. He did not pitch in the division series against Boston. Little chopper. Figgins makes the play at first, and down to second is Cabrera. 1 out. Tonight's game on Fox is sponsored by Ink, the new business card from Chase. Make your mark with Ink by BlackBerry. And by Autotrader.com. You'll find the car you want at the price you want. Autotrader.com. RBI chance for Johnny Damon. Tied a career high with 24 home runs during the regular season. Last year under contract with the Yankees. Ball 1 inside.
Damon with a single, a double. He scored 2 runs. That's foul, strike 1.
This might be Johnny Damon's last at bat and last inning of play. Often Joe Girardi will put Brett Gardner in as the left fielder. Keep Cabrera in center. And of course Swisher in right field, but Damon may be taken out for defense in the top of the 9th.
Made a good play defensively on Abreu to start the top of the 6th inning. That's strike 2. We said this during the regular season that Johnny Damon, who's about to turn 36, signed that 4-year deal in December of 2005. I thought it was a little ambitious and wondered how Johnny Damon would hold up throughout the course of that 4-year deal. Well, he, his agent, and the Yankees were right, because he has had one of his better years, especially power-wise and production-wise, batting the number 2 spot here in 2009. Again, the last year of his contract.
One of the great words that you could say about any player is that he's a gamer. 13 consecutive seasons of over 140 games a year. That qualifies as a gamer.
Here's a 1-2. Damon stays up there. The Angels will try and start a rally with the middle of their lineup, the 9th inning, and then hope for good things out of the back end of it. Or Mike Scioscia's LA team will start 0-1 in this ALCS. Matchup of Saunders, the left-hander, and Burnett, the right-hander, tomorrow night. Another 1-2 to Damon. Runner at second. Cabrera 1 out. Out of play. A foul tip gets away from Napoli. It's still 1-2. Pretty good at bat by Johnny Damon. The 1-2 from Palmer is in the dirt. And Damon did all he could to get out of the way of Napoli, who was diving around him to try and pick up the baseball and keep Cabrera at second.
Yeah, this ball ends up behind Damon. Johnny with that unusual move to allow Napoli to field the ball.
The 2-2 to the right side. That's Kendrick. And a high throw, but out. 2 out, Cabrera at third base. And Teixeira will be the hitter. That is a rather large figure looming in the bullpen now and for however long the Yankees are alive in the postseason. Up beyond the outfield fence, Mariano Rivera. Teixeira. It's at a floater up and away, ball 1.
smothered by Napoli. In case you're wondering, with the 3 batters coming up against Rivera, Hunter has 3 hits and 11 at-bats. Vladimir Guerrero 3 for 8. Surprising they haven't met more times than that. Juan Rivera 0 for 6. In fact, the only player in the lineup for the Angels with an extra base hit is Sean Figgins, who has a triple against Rivera. Counts 3-0 on Teixeira, with Rodriguez on deck.
He was swinging 3-0 in the first inning. Will he be swinging 3-0 here?
Took a strike, 3-1. By the bat, may have been foul tipped, and the count full now, 3-2. From 3-0 to 3-2, and Teixeira takes strike 3. A leadoff hit by Cabrera. He's stranded. It's still a 3-run game. Mariano Rivera will take over. 4-1 New York into the ninth. Mariano Rivera, who has been clutch ever since he got to the big leagues. The stats blow you away, while Mariano Rivera can blow you away. 10 earned runs in 121 career postseason innings. Ball 1 inside. Melky Cabrera moves over to left. Gardner takes over in center. Salutes the fans briefly out in the bleachers as Torrey Hunter takes ball 2, 2-0. That's ball 3, 3-0. The Angels need 2 base runners, Tim, to have a chance.
You talk about a rarity, though. How many times have you seen Mariano Rivera come into a game and the first 3 pitches are balls? Not often.
3-1. That's only the 18th walk in 121 postseason innings for Rivera, and it comes as a leadoff walk here in the ninth.
He is such a machine that it is so rare that you can find a chink in his armor. But while he was warming up, there was something that just didn't look right about Rivera. And sure enough, 4 out of the first 5 pitches, balls.
And now he misses with a ball to Guerrero. Vladimir Guerrero has a double, the only extra base hit of the night for the Angels. How about an ERA of 0 at home since 2001? 23 postseason games since 2001 at Yankee Stadium. Here or right next door, and an ERA of 0. Go 1-1. Strike 2.
That's the one thing Rivera has done to vary his delivery, is come inside to right-handed batters. He does it for the most part with 1 pitch. Up.
And Guerrero fights it off. Because of the relief work of Bolger and Palmer, the Angels are in this game. Down by 3, top of the ninth, game 1. One away. How about this exchange between home plate umpire Tim McClelland and Joe Girardi, the Yankee manager, when Rivera came in?
Rivera.
Oh,
This new guy we got.
I'm from AAA, huh?
Yeah.
up from AAA, this new guy, Mariano Rivera, who is aiming for his 36th postseason save. Strike one, 2 on Rivera. Sabathia was his own setup guy here tonight. 8 innings, 1 run, 4 hits, 1 walk, 7 strikeouts through 113 pitches. Strike 2.
Not only does Mariano Rivera feature only 1 pitch, you can see Juan Rivera, by the way, smelling the bat there. A lot of hitters swear that they can smell wood burning when they foul a ball back.
Just missed for ball 1.
I was going to say, but Rivera, not only with 1 pitch, but he lives in the fatter part of the plate. Rivera probably thinking, where was that pitch?
Very dangerous Kendry Morales is on deck for the Angels. The 1-2 to Juan Rivera. Kendry Morales on deck, hit 34 home runs during the regular season. 30 of the 34 while batting left-handed. We'll get a chance to do that next as Rivera tries to get on to make Morales represent the tying run. Popped up, slicing to Swisher. 2 out. When the Angels played the Yankees in the divisional round in 2002 and 2005, they lost Game 1 to the Yankees. Came back to win each series. Back in 2002, it was a big deal. The Yankees were coming off having played in 5 of the previous 6 World Series. Down to their final out tonight. Strike 1 on Morales. As Hunter, who was on the move, has to come back.
Yankees obviously with the 3-run lead giving Torrey Hunter second base.
In the air to center. Gardner is there. The Yankees win Game 1. A 3-hour, 18-minute game, and it's Rivera saving it for CC Sabathia 2-0 this postseason.
Joe Girardi's got to be very happy. Dominant Yankee pitching tonight.
How about the Yankees starting pitching during this postseason? First against Minnesota, now against the Angels. The combination of Sabathia, Burnett, and Pettit, 3-0 record.
Burnett had a no decision mixed in, an ERA of 1, 28 strikeouts and just 7 walks. One of the heroes tonight for the Yankees after a rough divisional series, Johnny Damon, standing by with Ken Rosenthal.
Thanks, Joe. Johnny, 1 for 12 in the division series. Single and a double, 2 runs scored tonight. How much does this ease your mind?
Well, it definitely eases my mind a lot, mainly because we won this game, and I was able to help contribute. But I understand how pitching goes in the playoffs. The pitchers are going to bear down, and but that's why I came in and worked early on Tuesday when we didn't have to be here, just so I can get peace of mind to know that my swing is still there.
Yankees are 4-0 in the postseason. Your starting pitchers have allowed 1 earned run in each of those starts. How much of a difference is it having those kinds of pitchers in this situation?
Well, it's great. I mean, that's why we went out and we got CC and AJ during the offseason, and you know, and Andy Pettit was actually a free agent too, and we were able to twist his arm and have him come back. So those guys have been great for us all year, and hopefully they continue. We know Anaheim's going to come out and play a little better. We took advantage of a few mistakes tonight, but we know it's going to be a tough series.
Johnny, thank you.
Thanks, Ken.
Joe, back to you.
All right, Ken, thank you, and thanks to Johnny Damon on a cold night sticking around. Tonight's Player of the Game brought to you by Ink, the new business card from Chase. And who is it? CC Sabathia. Karsten Charles Sabathia made his mark with 8 innings, 1 run, 4 hits, 7 strikeouts, 1 walk. He's 2-0 this postseason in his first year with the New York Yankees. Make your mark with Ink. Dominant here tonight was CC Sabathia. Back to the field and Ken Rosenthal.
Derek, tonight CC Sabathia pitched extremely well against the team he's struggled against in the past. What made him so successful?
This isn't the past. You know, this is the postseason, and you know, it's a whole new season for us. CC's gone out there and he's pitched just like basically how he's done all year. You know, he was dominant from the start, and you know, he's no fun to face.
How important is it for you guys to get game 1?
That's important. You know, every game is important, you know, especially playing here at home. You know, we wanted to come out here and play well. The first series we did a tremendous job. We wanted to continue that, and fortunately we're able to score just enough runs for CC.
You guys played a very strong defensive game. They did not. Given their style of play, how much of an emphasis have you put on defense going into this series?
I mean, you always talk about pitching, but you can pitch all you want. If you don't play defense behind them, you're going to be in trouble. So, you know, we've stressed the importance of every inning the entire year, and we did it again tonight.
Derek, thank you.
Okay.
Joe, back to you.
Kenny, thank you. 4-1 is the final here in game 1. Sabathia over Lackey, the save for Mariano Rivera, his second of this postseason. He knows what to do this time of year, but CC Sabathia smiling, yawning, dominating. 8 innings, 7 strikeouts, ho-hum. Doing his thing. Yankees up 1-0. Game 2 tomorrow night. Chris, Eric, and Mark coming up from the Fox Network Center right after this.